Welcome, everybody, to Lador Vador's Purim celebration tonight, March 16th, 2022. We thank you all for coming and participating with us, and we hope to have an exciting and fun time tonight. With that, I'll let Rabbi Barry introduce, and then we'll get started with our program.
This is a really joyous day, a celebration in the Jewish tradition, one of the great, wonderful celebratory events that we have all year. It's a thrill to be here with all of you to rejoice on Purim. The word Purim means lots. Lots as in the lottery. Lots meaning that Haman cast lots to determine what day he would do away with the Jews. We've turned that around, and I would like to suggest this, that on this day we have lots to be grateful for. We have our freedom. We have the ability to live life in America and a democracy. We have our friends, our family, our lives, our health. We have each other. We have a congregation. And we have a worldwide community that is now standing up for freedom, led by a Jewish freedom fighter, a modern day Mordecai. Why do we celebrate Purim? Why are we Jewish? Why do we observe any of these Jewish traditions? I suggest to you they can all be summarized in one goal: to connect with the past so that we can understand the present and help to shape the future. And that is why we celebrate Purim. It is not just to eat Haman Tashin or not just to boo Haman. It is in order to learn from the past so we don't repeat it and to be inspired by it. And so now let us all rejoice, let us be inspired, and let us learn the lessons of Purim and rejoice in our good fortune as Jews in America.
We're going to see a film, a short video of Purim in Israel.
No, it's not Halloween, it's not Mardi Gras, and I'm not at Midburn. We are celebrating Purim, probably the most fun Jewish holiday of the year. On Purim, we dress in costume, dance in the streets, have a big meal, and are as merry as can be. People eat these delicious cookies called Haman's ears in Hebrew, send gifts of food to their friends, and donate to charity for the holiday. Traditionally, Jews gather to listen to a reading of the Book of Esther, which retells the story of Purim. Purim takes us back over 2,000 years to the Persian Empire, where the Jews were living in exile. The heroes of the story of Purim are Esther and her uncle Mordecai, who saved the Jews from a wicked decree calling for their murder. After the Jews overcame their foes, they celebrated, and so we celebrate today. So now that you know the basics of Purim, put on your crazy hat and come join the party.
So now we are going to start with our first song.
Okay, well, this song is the Hat song, and you could probably see me off to the side, but let's go over the words. La kova sheli, shalosh pinot, la kova sheli. The hat of mine has three corners as my hat, and we'll play with that for a little bit. So take your right hand, and you're going to point to your head or your hat. La kova sheli, point to yourself. Shalosh, three, pinot, corners. Shalosh pinot, la kova sheli. And we're going to leave out a word. Leave out the word kova. La sheli, shalosh pinot, la Sheli. Leave out kova and sheli. La. Shalosh pinot. Shalosh pinot la kova. Leave out kova, sheli, and shalosh. La. Pinot. Pinot la. Leave out kova, sheli, shalosh, and pinot. La. And put them all back in. La kova sheli, shalosh pinot, la kova sheli, lule hayulo, shalosh pinot, lo hayaze hakova sheli. And here's how it goes with the guitar. La kova sheli, shalosh pinot, la kova sheli, lule hayulo, shalosh pinot, lo hayaze hakova sheli. My hat, it has three corners. Three corners has my hat. And if it didn't have three corners, then it wouldn't be my hat. Okay. Not by Might, great song, but a blessed memory by Debbie Friedman. So, not by might and not by power, but Spirit alone, shall we all live in peace. One more time. Not by might and not by power, but Spirit alone, shall we all live in peace. The children sing, the children dream, and their tears may fall, but we'll hear them call, and another song will rise, another song will rise, another song will rise. Not by might and not by power, but Spirit alone, shall we all live in peace. Not by might, not by power. Shalom. And the word shalom comes from the Hebrew word shalem, meaning whole or complete.
Okay, we are going to see another quick film, if I could. So give me 1 second. And this one's of Chag Purim.
חג פורים, חג פורים, חג גדול ליהודים, מסכות, רשנים, זמירות ריקודים. הבה נריסה רש רש רש, הבה נריסה רש רש רש, הבה נריסה רש רש רש, בהרשנים. חג פורים, holiday for you and me. Wear a mask, sing and dance, a great holiday. Shake your grogger, shake, shake, shake. Shake your grogger, shake, shake, shake. Shake your grogger, shake, shake, shake. Happy Purim Day. חג פורים, חג גדול ליהודים, מסכות, רשנים, זמירות ריקודים. הבה נריסה רש רש רש, הבה נריסה רש רש רש, הבה נריסה רש רש רש, בהרשנים. חג פורים, holiday for you and me. Clap your hands, sing and dance, a great holiday. Shake your grogger, shake, shake, shake. Shake your grogger, shake, shake, shake. Shake your grogger, shake, shake, shake. Happy Purim Day. Hava Narisa, rush, rush, rush. Hava Narisa, rush, rush, rush. Hava Narisa, rush, rush, rush. Baharasanim.
Thank you. And now it's time to read the Megillah, Rabbi. So here are the blessings before reading the Megillah. So perhaps we can all say them together.
It's being blocked by the pictures along the side, but our photos on the side.
Okay. Your screen is different than mine, Rabbi. So
I guess so.
Okay, you can move your pictures over.
Yeah, I'm not that sophisticated.
Okay.
Andy, why don't you do the reading?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim hahem b'hazman hazeh.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Amen. So now we're going to have the reading of the Megillah from the Book of Esther by Rabbi Barry, and I'm going to put that up. Rabbi, would you like to hold up the Megillah first?
Yes, I happen to have my own Megillah right here. I take off, it's in a very fancy cover with a little ribbon on it, and then I take it out here. And usually at Lador Vador, we would read the Megillah. I just want to share with you that the word Megillah comes from a Hebrew root gal, which means rounded. Galim are, galgal is waves in Hebrew. And from the word gal, G and C are related. We get the English word cycle or circle. Circle and cycle are related to gal and galgal or Megillah. Megillah, it's a scroll, it's round. Many people have wondered why this is written in a scroll. And perhaps that is because something that is round has no end. And the story of Purim, which describes Jewish people standing up and defying authority, didn't just happen thousands of years ago. It has no end. And today we see a Jewish leader standing up defiantly against authority, saying, I will not bend the knee to Putin. I will stand for freedom and defy abusive, corrupt authority, indicating this story goes on and on and on. And we rejoice that in every age, there are people who are willing to stand up and defy authority. And so now we read from the scroll, the Megillah, also referred to as the Book of Esther. When you hear me say Mordecai, then you cheer. Haman, you boo. And Esther, you say, ah. Once upon a time, in the time of Ahasuerus, now this was the Ahasuerus whose empire extended all the way from India to Ethiopia. In the 3rd year of his reign, in the capital city of Shushan, he threw a huge party for all his ministers and his chief servants. By the way, Ahasuerus, scholars believe, is Artaxerxes, or also Xerxes 1 or 2, a ruler in Persia. There's a lot of dispute about which one is supposed to be the king that is described in the Purim story. Just to impress them with his fantastic wealth and greatness, this party lasted 7 full days. Everyone had all they could eat and drink from beautiful golden dishes, including some the invaders took from our holy temple. The invaders being the Babylonians, whose empire was then conquered by Persia. The festivities went on and on and on and on and on. And on the 7th day, when the king was pretty drunk, he called for Queen Vashti to dance before the whole crowd dressed in only her crown. In other words, she was revealing the bare essentials of her beauty. Now Vashti was no coward, but when she refused, the king's rage boiled over. Vashti was fired as queen and banished from Shushan forever. Not long afterward, when the king sobered up, he wondered what to do for a new queen. His ministers advised him to have a beauty contest so the most gorgeous woman in the whole empire would be his new queen. And
Rabbi,
so
I was going to say
Mordecai,
what? Oh, okay.
and so Mordecai, everybody's supposed to go,
Yay!
yay! The Jew sent his niece Esther to try out for the job. Esther was the most beautiful of all, so she became queen of the Persian Empire. Esther was careful and didn't tell anyone that she was a Jew. Her uncle Mordecai would sit outside the palace to keep in touch with Esther. Now, just in case you think that this is the end of the story, hang on. Interesting choice of words. There's a lot to come. One day, Mordecai heard two guards plotting to murder the king. Mordecai reported what he had heard, and the king's life was saved. For this, nobody thanked him, but his name was written in the king's records. Sometime after all these happenings, the king appointed a new prime minister. His name was Haman. By the way, his name, Haman, has the word of the modern rulers in Persia or Iran, Khomeini, right in there. So some things never change. The king's new minister had a very big ego and loved to have people bow down to him. One day, he and his officers passed by Mordecai, who, as usual, was sitting by the palace gate. But Mordecai refused to bow down to Haman. When the officers told him to bow down, Mordecai said, Ani Yehudi, I am a Jew, and I don't bow down to anyone but my God. I serve the Holy One, and this makes me free. Haman was absolutely furious and went to the king and said, Oh, your highness, beloved and mighty and fantastic and awesome king, I have bad news for you. There is a people scattered throughout your empire that doesn't follow your laws. Now, this is terrible, but I can take care of them. If you give me the okay, I'll waste them, and they'll never bother you again. I'll even bring in some more money for your treasury. And the king said, sounds fine to me. Geh gesundheit hate. Do what you want with these people. Now leave me alone. I've got a date with the queen. And so all the days of the year were written on pieces of paper and put in a box, and one piece was taken out by Haman. This day would be the day that all the Jews would be killed. And so the news went out by express riders to all parts of the empire to kill all the Jews. Men, women, and children, rich, poor, young, and old, on the 14th day of Adar. Now that's tonight. Also, a special gallows was built to hang the Jew Mordecai, who wouldn't bow down to Haman. And when the Jews heard this, they thought they were doomed for sure. But Mordecai got a message to Esther. He said, you have a chance to change the course of history. Go for it. Go talk to the king. This may be the work of the Holy One of Israel. You may have become queen just so you'd have the chance to save your people. Now, Esther, terrified, because if she went to the king without being invited, the king might get mad and kill her, but she decided to do it. So Esther dressed in her snappiest low-cut queen outfit, and she walked into the throne room uninvited. She went up to the king on his throne, and she went down on her knees, and the king was glad to see her. And the king said, Esther, baby, glad to see you. You look great. What can I give you? Ask for anything. You can have it. Up to 50% of the whole kingdom. Queen Esther said, my king, I'd like you to come to a special little party in my part of the palace. Just you and me, dear king. And oh yes, just for fun, please bring Haman. That night the king had insomnia, so he called for the court records to be read out loud so that he could be bored to sleep. He called for his favorite rabbi to deliver his sermon so that he could go fast asleep. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say. The story was told of how Mordecai reported on the plot against the king. The king said, wait a minute, this guy saved my life, and we never did anything for him. Think. Okay, no good ideas. Is anybody else around? And Haman, by coincidence, just happened to be hanging around near the king's chambers in the middle of the night. So the king called him in and asked, what should be done for a man the king has decided to honor? And Haman, in his typical self-absorbed narcissistic way of thinking, thought, he must mean me. So he said, such a man should be dressed in the king's robes and sat upon the king's best horse and paraded through the city and led by someone who calls out over and over, this is a man the king is delighted to honor. So the king said, excellent idea. Do it for the Jew, Mordecai.
Yay!
You will be the one to lead the horse through the streets. Make it so. So let it be written. So let it be done. And so the very next night after the end of a very, very long day, Haman dragged himself home and told the whole pathetic story to his wife and followers. His wife said, what? And you want to whack this guy? Are you out of your mind? Forget about it. This is not a coincidence. This dude is nothing but trouble. His karma will run over your dogma. But at that very moment, the king's guards came knocking on the door.
Knock, knock, knock. Wait a minute. And you no.
To escort Haman to that fateful dinner. So the king and Haman went to Esther's party. The king was in a good mood and said to Esther, tell me, dear queen, what do you want now? It shall be my royal command. And Esther cried out, save my life. Someone is trying to murder me and all my people. Save me, oh, please save me. And the king shouted, who, what, where? Who could do such a terrible thing? And Esther said, this one. This evil one. Hey, man. Now the evil one could see that he had a problem and bowed down to beg for mercy. But he just happened to trip over Esther's gown, pulling it down, and he landed right on top of Esther. And the king said, what? How dare you try to make whoopee with the queen? Get your hands off the royal assets. Boy, you in a heap of trouble. He gave orders and guards came with handcuffs and chains and very unfriendly expressions and took away Haman. At that moment, just by coincidence, one of the king's ministers came in and said, excuse me, your majesty, what do you want to do with the gallows out in front of the palace? And I think I'll end the story right there. The rest is a little bit grisly.
No,
and
it's not this one.
Not this one?
Yeah.
All right. What should we do with the gallows out in front of the palace that were built for the Jew Mordecai?
Yay!
And the one who saved your life. And Esther
said,
wait a minute. He's my uncle. Then the king said, what? No more Mr. Nice Guy. Yeah, that's the grisly part. Okay, I'm going to skip over that part. And now now the story's not quite over. The king didn't like to change his orders once he'd given them. Yeah, I'm going to change this part. We're going to skip over this part too.
Okay.
Now, what can we learn from all this? As it is written in the books of the wise one, coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. And if you come to a fork in the road, you should definitely take it. At the end of the day, when we take off the mask we wear for the world, who are we really? We can all be Mordecai.
Yay!
We can all be Esther. Stand up for justice. Don't bow down to evil. And this makes us free. All right. Well, that was a fun story to read. In the Megillah, I'm going to share with you a little song I wrote, a modern day version of an old song. What we do at Lador Vador, we take tradition and we make it modern. I have the lyrics right here on the screen, but since the time that I sent them over to Sharon, I've already rewritten some of the lyrics. I'm going to sing it for you. It'll match some of the words on the screen. Today there is a wicked, wicked man. This killer's name is Putin. He lied and lied about Ukraine. And then he started shooting. Oh, the day will merry, merry be when we have ended Putin's tyranny. Oh, the day will merry, merry be when Putin's been arrested. Today there is a wicked, wicked man. This tyrant's name is Putin. He is the worst thug in the land. Of that there's no disputing. Oh, the day will merry, merry be when we have ended Putin's tyranny. Oh, the day will merry, merry be when Putin's been arrested. Zelensky is like Mordecai. For him the world is rooting. The Jews will challenge and defy autocrats like Putin. Oh, the day will merry, merry be when we have ended Putin's tyranny. Oh, the day will merry, merry be when Putin's been arrested. He threatens freedom everywhere as he invades Ukraine. If he thinks he'll get away with this, then Putin is insane. Zelensky is like Mordecai with his valiant defiance. Freedom lovers everywhere join him in alliance. Oh, the day will merry, merry be when we have ended Putin's tyranny. Oh, the day will merry, merry be when Putin's been arrested. That is my modern day version of a song that you've heard in the past. Now, I would like to share with you a few words about the story of Purim. Purim is a fascinating tale. It is said to take place in ancient Persia, and it follows a rather typical scenario. The Jews are threatened with annihilation. The Jews are saved, and then there's a feast. Very often they say they tried to kill us, they failed, let's eat. But this story is a little bit different, because in this story, God is not mentioned at all. God is not in the book of Esther. Many people said this book should not be included in the sacred Tanakh, among the sacred writings. The book of Esther is part of what we call Ketuvim. Ketuvim sounds like a weird word, but it's related to a word that you know. Everyone here probably knows the word ketubah, or as we also say, ketubah, which means something that's in writing or a contract. Ketuvim means the writings. The Torah is divided into Torah, the 5 books of Moses, Nevi'im, the prophets, and Ketuvim, the writings. The book of Esther is part of the writings. People thought in ancient days that it should not be included in the sacred canon because God is not mentioned, and also because it's rather frivolous. But the story teaches us something very, very important. My father used to say about this story, it's really part of mythology. The name Mordecai sounds like Marduk, the Persian god, and Esther sounds like Ishtar, the Persian god. And my father used to say, this story never really happened, but it's 100% true. How could that be? Because groups have always tried to kill the Jewish people. Even though this story is mythology, how do we know it's mythology? We have records of Persian kings. There's no record of any of them marrying a Jewish woman. There's no records of that. There's a lot of other reasons why we know, but the story didn't happen, but it's all true. Because here's what has happened repeatedly. Jewish people defy authority. Jewish people bow down to no human being, especially a corrupt one. Jewish people owe their allegiance either to God, a personal supernatural being in the past, or today, many Jews owe their allegiance to godly ideals, truth, justice, compassion, mercy, freedom, dignity, democracy. And we don't bow down to any human being, especially when they defy all of these. And so if all we did was celebrate a past event, it wouldn't be enough. No, as I mentioned before, we connect with the past to understand the present and shape the future. We understand the present by looking to the past and realizing Jewish people like Zelensky, like the refuseniks of Russia, like Jewish freedom fighters, Tuvia Bielski, who challenged the Nazis and said freedom begins with an act of defiance. Jewish people don't bow down to dictators. And maybe people have wondered, what is it that gives Zelensky this power, this incredible courage to stand up to Putin and to defy him and to fight against this powerful army against overwhelming odds? Perhaps his Jewish neshama, reaching back to the ancient past and remembering the story of Mordecai, remembering Judah Maccabee, remember that the Jewish people are still here long after powers that tried to defeat us have disappeared. Maybe Zelensky remembers that many empires have tried to destroy the Jewish people, and they're all gone now. They were more powerful militarily, but they're gone. What do they have in common? They believed in the love of power. Jewish people believe in the power of love, and the power of love and the power of freedom will conquer the love of power every time. What else do we learn? Esther hid her Jewish identity, and she was from Persia. She was a missing Persian, and she hid her identity. But when the time was important, she spoke up and said, I am a Jew. She could have been quiet and the decree wouldn't have affected her. She revealed herself as Jewish and risked her life. Each one of us is required also not to shirk Jewry duty, Jewry, and to speak up and say, I am a Jew. And to say I am a Jew is far more significant than just describing your ethnic background or your religious background or your cultural background. When we side with people fighting for freedom, that's how we say I am a Jew in a way that matters. When we send money to those who are in distress, that's how we say I am a Jew. On Purim, we have 4 obligations. Read the Megillah, send gifts, help the poor, and have a feast. On this day, I hope all of us will help the people of Ukraine find an organization that's helping them. It might be Jewish, it might be otherwise. And let all of us pledge to make this Purim count, not just by celebrating the past, but by helping us motivate ourselves to shape the future and to provide for the future. Now, Esther's name also means hidden. She was a secret Jew. Let all the Jewish people in the world hide ourselves no more. And let us remember when Haman, when Hitler, when the people of the Crusades and the pogroms, when they tried to destroy the Jewish people, they didn't just go after the Reformed Jews. They didn't just go after the Orthodox Jews. They didn't just go after the Democratic Jews or the Republican Jews. They went after all Jews. And how is it that we managed to survive? By uniting together and forgetting about these petty differences and standing together as Jews. When the Romans destroyed the temple, it was said it was done because the Jews were fighting with each other. On this Purim, let us fight no more. Let us air our differences in a spirit of friendly dialogue, and let all Jews join together in standing up for freedom, in siding with the oppressed, in fighting for the survival of our planet, and for sharing a love of our nation, a love of our people, and a love of freedom. And let us stand together with the Jews of Ukraine and with all people of Ukraine and remember this: Slava Ukrainia, Heroim Slava, Slava Nati, and Svoboda Slava, which means glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes, glory to the nation, and glory to freedom. On this holiday, let us stand in solidarity with freedom fighters everywhere and with Zelensky, and let us stand for freedom as we celebrate the holiday of freedom, Purim. Chag Sameach.
Thank you. We're next going to have a song by Andy.
Okay, this is you want to do a Purim song, or we're going to do the Ukrainian
This is
song? Here? Okay, we'll do this. So this song is an anti-war song, and I think it'll move you as you listen to the words. Too often we elevate and by honoring war we perpetuate it, but we'll let the words speak for themselves. Here we go. This is the field where the battle did not happen, where the unknown soldier did not die. This is the field where the grass joins hands, where no monument stands, and the only heroic thing is the sky. And the only heroic thing is the sky. Birds fly here without any sound, spreading their wings upon the open. No people killed or were killed on this ground, hallowed by neglect, and an air so tame that people celebrate it by forgetting its name. This is the field where the battle did not happen, where the unknown soldier did not die. This is the field where grass joins hands, where no monument stands, and the only heroic thing is the sky. Now, it would be nice if we could see a world that where these words came true, but as Rabbi gave comments, right now the world is on fire, and yet again, and we have to stand and support the freedom fighters. And this brings us back to the holiday of Purim, so we can go back, I guess, to our joy. And this goes like this. Mishe, 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 Nichnas Adar. Mishe, 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 Nichnas Adar. Mishe Nichnas Adar, Marbin Besimcha. Mishe Nichnas Adar, Marbin Besimcha. Let's try that one more time. Mishe, 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 Mishe Nichnas Adar. nichnas adar. Nichnas adar, marvim besimcha. Nichnas adar, marvim besimcha. When Adar arrives, we increase our joy.
Andy, leave that up there for a moment. I just want to share something with everybody. I like to help teach a little bit of Hebrew each time. Nichnas literally means to enter. And the last three words, the kuf nun samech, to enter, is the root of the word knesset. Knesset means a place that people enter or convene. And it's the same root. Knesset is a place that people enter. Misha nichnas means he who enters, or when the enters, or when Adar enters. Marbim, Rav means a lot. It's the root of the word rabbi. The simcha means joy. So when Adar enters, our joy increases. Thanks a lot, Andy, for sharing that song with us.
Now I have a little, another little video to show you of Hannah Klingsberg, an original poem that she did. So give me one moment.
I have come from a land far away to tell you my story. I am Esther, the queen. You know that Haman, he's really mean. He hates every Jew. What am I to do? Mordecai says I must speak to the king. What if he puts me to death? I must do what is just. But I'm holding my breath. Will he believe me and do what is right? Or could this be my very last living night? Everything depends on little me to rid us of Haman for eternity. So here goes. It's in the fates. I need the courage to be brave, to stop the edict Haman states. And all my people I must save. Will wonders never cease? Haman's death has been decreed, and all my people have now been freed. Let's celebrate, eat, and rejoice. We have been given a wondrous choice. So take your grogger and give it a spin. We Jews, we know how to win.
Thank you. Okay, we have another song by Andy.
Okay. Well, this is another classic Purim song. Utsu Eitza. Take this advice. All right, so here we go. All right, time out. Got to change the key. This is a balalaika tune. From your plot it shall fail. Lay your plan, it shall not prevail. Form your plot, it shall fail. Lay your plan, it shall not prevail. For God is with us. To wait a bit too far. Dabru davar velo yakum. To wait a bit too far. Dabru davar velo yakum ki Immanuel. To it's a bit too far, Dabru davar velo yakum ki Immanuel. Often in the past, so history goes, Israel felt prey to many foes. Though they murdered or enslaved us, other Jews survived and saved us, for God is always at our side. Now each Purim celebration bids us make this declaration, for God is always at our side. To wait a bit too far. Dabru davar velo yakum. To wait a bit too far. Take this advice. Dabru davar velo yakum. Speak your words so they will not come to fruition. Ki Immanuel, for God is with us.
We have a hand raised. Paul? Okay, put his hand down. Okay, let's go back to the next song, Al Hanisim.
Okay. Well, this one, back in 1988, I think it was 88, I had the opportunity to play with the lyrics, and I wrote an singable English translation, which is on page 2. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's sing the Hebrew. And we're going to leave out the Imotenu only because it's kind of awkward. We probably need to come up with a different word as a one word. But anyway, here we go. Al hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hateshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita la'avotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. So the translation there says, in honor of the miracles and deliverance, heroic deeds and salvation wrought in wars you fought for our fathers and mothers in the ancient days until now. Here we go. Al hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hateshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita la'avotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. For the miracles and for the spectacles and for the mighty acts of salvation, and even the wars waged in the name of our people from ancient days till now. We give thanks. Thank you, God. 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 Back to the page 1. For the Al Hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hateshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita la'avotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. From ancient days until now.
Before we continue with the next song, I just want to share the explanation or the interpretation that we might offer at Lador Vador to that song. As I mentioned, the Megillah, the book of Esther, mentions nothing about God saving us. There's no mention. In the song, we say, we thank you, God. For many of us, we believe that there is no supernatural entity who saved us, and apparently the people who wrote the Purim story didn't think so either. Rather, we give thanks for godliness inside of each person, the capacity for salvation, the capacity that Esther demonstrated, Mordecai demonstrated. They were archetypes for courageous Jewish people and non-Jews who are willing to stand up and deliver people, not in supernatural ways, but even more admirably, human beings who act in a godly fashion to save us. For those people, we give thanks, and for the ability that we have to act in that way, to be inspired by them, we also give thanks.
Andy, why don't we do Chag Purim? I know we saw the video before, but it's just such a fun song, so why don't we do that one?
Love the song. You got it.
Okay.
Oh, just from my memory, or you got lyrics?
I don't have a slide.
Okay. Here we go. Chag Purim, Chag Purim, Chag Gadol Ulayahudim, Masechot Rashanim, Zmirot Rikudim, Havnar Isha Rosh Rosh Rosh, Havnar Isha Rosh Rosh Rosh, Havnar Isha Rosh Rosh Rosh, Abaram Hashanim. Purim Day, a great big Jewish holiday. masks and noise, songs of joys, with dancing we play and pray. Sound the groggers, sound the groggers, sound the groggers. When we hear Haman, Havinarisha, rush, 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 Havinarisha, Havinarisha, rush, 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 Barashani.
We have another song.
Twist my arm, Sharon.
Yep. So I'd like to end with this song of peace, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, and feel free to join in with Andy.
So let me give you a little backstory on this song. Rabbi Menachem creditor, at the time this song was penned, which was about 20 years ago, he wrote this song in the aftermath of 9/11. He lived in, I believe, in Manhattan at the time. And he wrote it for his daughter, trying to find the words of a hopefulness for the future. What could we do? How could we act so that the future had a positive tinge to it? And here's this beautiful song. You're missing a word there. Olam got cut off there. Anyway, the first word should be olam. Oh, you got bounced around. You got moved to the end. Olam chesed yibaneh, yalalai didai da 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 da. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadidai didai da 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 da. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadidai didai da da da. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadidai didai da da da. And Rabbi went ahead and he made the verb in each tense, will build and we will build, and future tense. Okay, English goes like this: I will build this world from love, yadidai yadidai. And you will build this world from love, yadidai yadidai. And if we build this world from love, yadidai yadidai, then God will build this world from love, yadidai yadidai. I will build this world from peace, yadidai yadidai. And you will build this world from peace, yadidai yadidai. And if we build this world from peace, yadidai yadidai, then God will build this world from peace. Shalom. Yadidai yadidai. Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, yadidai yadidai.
Andy, beautiful. I'd like you to keep the lyrics up there because I want to comment on them, and I want to give credit to Rabbi Creditor, because what he has done is he has actually confirmed his philosophy, which dovetails with cosmic Judaism. What he's saying is that if I build a world of love, and if you build a world of love, then God will build a world of love. In other words, what God is, it's a loving spirit, a creative spirit, a spirit of justice, not external, inside of you and me. And we can't wait around for peace to come from on high. When we build a world of peace and of justice, then God will do it because he's operating through us. Chesed, olam chesed, is a word that's not translatable. It kind of means loving kindness, justice, righteousness, all in one. It's a beautiful word. I altered the words a little bit because it used to be lie, 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 lie. I made it yididai, which is my friends. And this is a beautiful song indicating to us that we can act in a godlike way to make the world the way we want it to be instead of waiting for divine intervention. If we're about done, I just want to conclude with a few final thoughts. And then if anybody else wants to share some thoughts, you're welcome to do so. One, we rejoice in this holiday because to be a Jew is to be jubilant. And so we are very happy to rejoice on this day. We also remember on this day that our love, our optimism, our faith, our courage, as demonstrated around the world, cannot be masked. It can never be quarantined. And that the power of love reflected in the Jewish people can transform the world. We also remember that Haman vilified not just Mordecai, but the entire Jewish people, because he refused to bow down. And as anti-Semites have done throughout history over and over, when Jews stand up to their authority, then these anti-Semites want to wipe out the whole Jewish people. People say, why is there anti-Semitism? That's why. Because we will not abide injustice. Even if everybody else is going along with it, the Jew will speak out. The sacrifice, which I'll comment on this Shabbat, of the Torah reading this week talks about animal sacrifice. But today we sacrifice in a better way. I hope that as we read about sacrifices, every person here will lead the charge to say Americans must sacrifice as we did during World War II. When they gave up some of their comforts for the war effort, they didn't use very much oil. They rationed oil. They rationed food. They rationed rubber. They made sacrifices to help the war effort. Nobody's asking us to sacrifice. But I hope that we Jews will spearhead, in keeping with our tradition of sacrifice, an effort to say, let us sacrifice and use less oil, less gas, so that we don't have to buy one drop of oil from Russia. Let us also remember this. The Russian people have been bowing down to Haman for so long that now they are misled. And their young people are being told a pack of lies. And they're going out and fighting, doing what they think is right, because truth has been completely disregarded. We Jews must stand up for truth and for freedom. And we also need to be free as a species of nuclear weapons, so that never again will a madman hold us hostage and make us afraid to side with people who are fighting for their lives, because we have to live in fear and blackmail, nuclear blackmail. Let us learn that lesson. And finally, I will say this. The Megillah, the parts that I did not read, celebrates the death of Haman and also celebrates a massacre that Jewish people are said to have engaged in after Haman was defeated. And the traditionalists among us, they rejoice in the massacre. That's part of their celebration. I say, let us never rejoice in the taking of human life. Let Jewish people lead the charge to fight for freedom, and when necessary, to go to war to protect people. But when we do, and we have to kill the enemy, let us not ever rejoice. As Golda Meir said, what we really hold against the Arabs is not even that they killed our children, but that they forced our children to kill theirs in order to defend ourselves. Let us remember the compassion of the Jew and transcend this primitive desire to rejoice in the death of others. And let us remember the best way to defeat an enemy is to make them our friend. I thank Andy for doing an incredible job of leading us in song. I thank Sharon for leading this beautiful service. And I thank everyone here for participating and joining with us as we celebrate a rational approach to Judaism that speaks to not only the past, but to the here and now.